Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about the new Borderlands 4 DLC. I probably can't say the full name of the DLC due to the fact that it has the M word in it and YouTube will demonetize that. So I'm going to call it the Levaine Bounty Pack. And yes, this is paid content, so you do have to buy it. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what are my thoughts on this DLC? Alright, at this point we are going to get into the spoilers, so you have been warned. To start the DLC, you go to any faction town bounty board and pick it up. And due to the way the DLC starts, I believe this DLC is going to be post-story, or at least post-Callus after she dies. Because the story does have an extension upon Callus's death. Anyways, you go to Carcadia Burns and find the new map there. And upon entering this DLC, you're going to notice it looks just like more Carcadia Burns. I will say I am a little disappointed in, more Carcadia Burns. We just got the Zane DLC recently and had the digital world, the purple like vibe, very different. And then for this DLC, we're throwing back into even more Carcadia Burns. The orange rocks and sand everywhere. Now, it isn't all bad. I mean, the map is designed in a different way that's differently laid out from normal Carcadia Burns in base game. So it does feel more like an extension to the existing area of Carcadia Burns. Anyways, you start the DLC by talking to Levaine and she's going to ask you to find some order tech. At the same time, you're going to meet a new faction called the Flock, and they are friendly Ripper enemies. Remember, Callus is dead, so the Rippers don't really have a following anymore, and some of them decided to be peaceful. However, some of them didn't. There's a new leader out there known as Max. With Callus dead, some of the Rippers wanted a new leader, and they go by a faction called the Blasphemist. So you have the friendly Rippers, the Flock, and the evil Rippers, the Blasphemist. They have this order tech we're looking for, and they're guarding it, obviously. And that is who we're taking on for this DLC. Right away, there is going to be a gameplay gimmick in this DLC. They went the route of optional objectives. You can either do this or do that. Basically, if you do this, you get to fight the mini-boss. If you do that, you don't get to fight the mini-boss. Now, at first I was worried about this because if I wasn't able to fight the mini-boss, I was thinking, oh, do I lose my dedicated drop farm? Turns out you don't. So if you fight the mini-boss, then you can farm for your dedicated drop during the actual story playthrough of this DLC. But if you don't fight the boss, then you have to wait until you beat the whole entire DLC before that farm does open up. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So if you leave the story intact and don't kill off the mini-boss, then during the story, they're still alive, right? But then after you beat the story, it's all thrown out the window. You can farm whoever you want, even though you let them live, right? And you can farm your dedicated drops, obviously. So yeah, I would say if you're playing this DLC for the first time, make sure you kill off the mini-bosses you come across. For this instance, you can fix a generator for Skank Eyes, and upon doing so, you will be able to fight him later. I recommend farming any boss you can along the way, just so you can get to the farm faster. But yeah, them living or dying doesn't really impact the story that much. They're just an optional throwaway character. Also, I want to give this DLC props. They did something I did not expect in a Borderlands 4 DLC. When you're running through this DLC, there's a lot of enemies everywhere. Nearly all of it is optional. You can stop and kill them if you want to, but you don't have to. If you want some more XP, go for it. If you don't want to and you want to move on, go for it. That was one of my major complaints for the Christmas DLC, the first bounty pack we got. More than half that DLC was stopping to mob and then move on, and then do more mobbing and then move on, and then do more mobbing and then move on. So literally half that DLC was filler. Like, it felt like filler to me. For this DLC, the map is pretty large, and if you want to mob, like I said, you can. Now, there are a handful of, required mobbing areas. I think there's only, 3 in this DLC. So yeah, most of it's optional. That is a plus. Anyways, you encounter the Blasphemous and try to proceed on to the boss guy, Max. But hey, the facility's locked and he won't let you in. Surprise, surprise. So we are off to find a way to get in. Along the way, you will find locked crates with a Flock, friendly NPC inside. Make sure you free them if you find them, because they will give you some loot at the end of the story. I think in my first playthrough, I found 4 of them, so there could be more, just a heads up. Moving on here, I chose to kill Skank Eyes, so he was your optional mini-boss. And I ended up getting his dedicated drop. Pretty cool. Again, his death means nothing. The Flocks are going to be like, you killed our friend, what the heck? No impact for the main story. From here, Trippy, the main, I would call her Flock leader. By the way, Trippy's gimmick or personality is being high all the time. Hence her name, Trippy. She tells you, yo, they locked the door? Go get explosives and blow up the door. So, now we're off to go find Infamous Dave. And this is where we get our first transition into a different looking area. It's a mix of Carcadia Burns and Salt. In this area, there is another, maybe faction called the Salt Lickers. They don't really serve a purpose, but they're just, more Ripper enemies in this specific location. Anyways, we make our way to Infamous Dave's area. And this is where we get a little Borderlands humor. He wants us to grab a bomb and, throw it to one of his, friends. And this is what happens.
I need you to grab a bomb from one of those units and personally deliver it to the gentleman.
Wait, what?
I'll send you his coordinates.
Stay back! How do I know you're not a salt licker?
Obviously, I am not currently licking salt.
Because I'm not
Throw it
currently
here.
licking salt.
Throw a bomb to you?
Don't worry. I'll catch it.
I don't know about this, man. Alright, that's a plus, that's a
Another
plus.
satisfied customer.
I don't know, I found a funny, short-lived joke, Borderlands humor. I liked it. Along the way, if you are exploring, you can find random, like, chests scattered around. So they reward you for your exploration. We run all the way to Dave, and this was a pretty long run. This map, like I said, is pretty lengthy. And they're giving you another choice to let, you know, the boss live or die. So if you do want him to live, you take the motor oil. But if you want to fight him, hack his reliquary. I wanted to fight him, so I hacked his reliquary, stole his bomb. And again, this is another dedicated drop farm. Very cool. I didn't mention it earlier, but these bosses do have new mechanics that you can interact with for the boss fight. Super simple, you know, run around, dodge, grapple this thing. Nothing too complex, just a mini boss fight. And now we're off to open up the big door and fight the big boss, but we take an alternate path to get there. And this path goes under a, like, bridge, hanging bridge. And I thought this area was cool. It has, like, that, almost like Nox DLC bandit camp vibe from, BL1. They have those hanging bandit bases under, like, bridges and stuff. I liked it. Again, it is a long run. There's a lot of Ripper enemies that are all optional, by the way. And it goes on for a good little bit. Oh, also, there are 5 collectible echoes in this DLC, and I think I only found, like, 2 of them. They're not actually shown on your maps. You have to find them, like, by exploring and finding it with your eyeballs. But if you look for them, you can get more lore. Along the run here, we find Wee William, and he's the toll collector. And, yeah, this guy's kind of funny. He's quite the gentleman, and you have the choice of either dropping him into the void or fulfilling his request and fighting him because he wants to really fight a Vault Hunter. Now, at this point, I did back on my save because I was really curious what happens if you drop him into the void. As expected, he just falls into the void. I don't know what I was expecting. So I revert back my save just to make sure I didn't miss a mini-boss farm, and sure enough, this guy is not a refarmable mini-boss. He's just like any other Ripper enemy, and nothing too crazy about him, but he was happy to fight. He's almost like Aista, if you guys remember Aista from Borderlands 3. He really loves a good fight. So after the fight, he doesn't die, he lives, and he's happy. Moving on. From here, we find a large gap, and I was like a little bit confused. I'm like, what the heck? How do you make this jump, bro? There's no grapples anywhere. Like, what do I do? Simple solution to a simple problem. Gamers don't look up. There is a grapple right above your head. I can't believe I didn't think about looking up. Anyways, a lot more blasphemous come out and attack you. Again, all optional. And you made your way all the way back to the door. With the bomb we got from Dave, we blow up the door and make our way in. In this area, I want to compare it to Maliwan Takedown. If you guys remember the bridge at the end of it, how chaotic and packed for enemies it can be. Yeah, it felt like that. There was so many blasphemous, or rippers if you want to call it that. All optional, and I decided to try to speedrun past them. And there was a lot of enemies, rightfully so. Because, I mean, they're guarding the order tech we're trying to get. You make your way to Max, and you find out that Max is dead. Max Supreme No Olives killed him. TLDR, basically the Ripper faction, they can't decide on a leader. They just keep killing each other and having new leaders. That's the running joke, haha. And you're now fighting Max Supreme No Olives. Dude's a bit goofy, but he does have the longest, most interesting boss card. I won't lie, this dude's a little bit cringe, but I mean, it's Borderlands humor, and I didn't feel like he was all that bad. You fight the final boss, and he's just very short. He's a short king. Mechanically, he's not too interesting, but he does have a modifier called Bathwater Rage, and I was like, oh, what does that mean? I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I think he makes massive, like, elemental puddles on the ground. I think that's the gimmick. But yeah, for the most part, this guy's kind of a pushover and not too tough of a boss, and it had me thinking right away, like, dude, this can't be the final boss, right? And you find out that that Max was not the final boss. There's another Max, and he's more final boss. Yeah, this is Borderlands humor. This is what we do. So we proceed on to the final boss and try to get our order tech. And this guy is the true, for real, final boss. Beta Max. Turns out this guy, after Callus died from the main story, stole her armor and, you know, used it for himself. So he does have a few gimmicks from Callus fight with the red spider webby stuff. But I would say with a half-decent build, he's not too tough of a fight. Also, he had a modifier called Maxing, and I couldn't even tell you what that is. It could just be a joke, like they don't actually do anything. But yeah, he does have some interesting attacks. Most of them are pretty easy to dodge. And we take out Betamax without any trouble. We get the order tech, and it was time to head back and give it to Levaine. By the way, this order tech was said to be something that is very much needed to save Kairos. You make your way back to the faction town, and you're going to notice some loot spewing out possibly. Turns out this is for each of the blocks you save during the main story run. So the more you save by breaking open those locked containers to save them, then the more loot you get. We give the order tech to Levaine, and she doesn't tell us what it's for, but apparently it's for saving Kairos. I don't know what the point of that was. And she's also extremely high. Yeah, Trippy, the main flock leader, she like smoked with Levaine, and now they're both extremely high. And her and Levaine start like hitting on you, calling you like a great guy, sexy, and yeah, that's the whole thing for Trippy's like persona. And that is the DLC. You get a closing outro, which, you know, the Rippers come together and work with the Electi to become a friendly group now that Callus is dead. And there's a little bit more order on Kairos. And when I say order, I'm not talking about the enemy faction, just like there's more structure and getting along, I guess. But they do say that not everybody's on board, and the Rippers are still Rippers, so some of them are still going to be evil and bad and looking for a new leader. That's just how they are. And that is the Levaine DLC. So, what are my overall thoughts? Let's start with the good. Even though it is more Carcadia Burns, the map layout was different from base game, so it wasn't completely boring to run through. As for the humor, I thought it was pretty good. It wasn't over the top cringe or anything like that. It had that simple Borderlands formula, and I thought it played out fine. But I will say, not a bad thing, but I am wondering if this is canon or not canon. Like, are the Rippers gonna be good now in the future, or are they still, like, gonna unfold to be bad? Like, I don't think it affects the story too much if it is canon. Moving on here, the mini-bosses had a small, unique mechanic and dedicated farm, so I like that. And I did try out most of the items, and they were cool gimmicks. I could see them working in a lot of builds. Haven't fully tested yet, but I did like some of the gimmicks. And then as for the big bosses, they did have cool mechanics. I did like them. And then the final thing is the optional saving the flocks along the way. You can get some bonus loot. I think that's a plus, and it rewards you for exploration. Moving on to the bad. Again, it's more Carcadia Burns. I would have liked to see a brand new area. We got it for the Zane bounty pack, the purple digital city. So I'm a little bit bummed out about that. Then as for the optional side bosses, I really wish there was a better clear path of, you know, if they're gonna die or live. Playing it for the first time, I was a little bit worried I was gonna miss out on killing the boss and like not being able to farm their loot. So the direction on that was a little bit not clear. I wish it would have been better. Next up, I hate that I'm saying it, but again, still fighting the same base game enemies. It's always Order enemies or it's always Ripper enemies. This DLC, we're fighting even more Rippers. Where's all the new enemies at? And for the final thing, probably a nitpick is Levaine's personality being completely different when she's high. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like, that's the DLC. I would say it's slightly above the average bounty pack we've had. I just really wish it wasn't more Carcadia and Ripper mobbing, but everything else was pretty good to make up for it. So yeah, I would say overall this DLC was pretty solid for a bounty pack. Anyways, that's going to be it for the video today, so let me know below in the comments what you guys think about the new bounty pack. Thank you guys for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.